Sudeep Reddy, let me come back to you for a moment. We also saw a political activity at the state level this past week. Voters in Florida and Arizona went to the polls. And guess what? In a year of upheaval, the incumbents all won.
The election we expected to shake everything up is turning to be an establishment-driven win here. This was a case where we had been hearing for quite a while about John McCain being under pressure and all of the trouble that he would face. Look what he did. He came right out of it, and just about
How do
every
you
other.
interpret that?
A lot of voters don't know what to make of this election and this
A
mess
lot of
we're in.
politicians don't know what to do.
That's certainly the case. And when you look around, the existing records, the track records of these politicians, it does matter. Everybody doesn't want to take somebody who is untested and throw all their weight behind them. And we're going to see that over the next 2 months, but also the 2 years that follow after that in how the midterm elections
Wesley
are
Lowery,
going.
Donald Trump went after John McCain, said,
Yes.
my kind of hero is not somebody who actually gets caught here. So does this election for McCain say anything about the relationship with Trump?
I think it's going to be interesting. And McCain still has a Trump issue to deal with, which does in a world in which it actually becomes a Hillary Clinton blowout, does that drive Democratic turnout or swing voting in a state like Arizona, where we typically might not be having this conversation? And does that help his Democratic challenger, which typically wouldn't be something that would really threaten him? But I do think it speaks to, John McCain is this kind of standard bearer of the Republican establishment. He is as 90s, 2000 GOP as it gets. In fact, he was the candidate, right? And it speaks to kind of this grapple we've seen for 8 years, right? This push between the McCain candidacy and then kind of the birth of the Palins and the Tea Party afterwards, right? And so we've seen this ebb and flow on the right of the Tea Party wave that comes in 2010, these fights over Obamacare, eventually the fight now over immigration, which has kind of been taken the mantle from Obamacare in some ways as the main issue of the anti-establishment right. And this is in some ways kind of one of the main battlegrounds. And we saw this also, frankly, in Florida in the race with Rubio, right? Again, this has kind of been the rise and the great stand of the establishment Republicans this year in a backlash to some of the fire and candidacies of the types of anti-establishment candidates that we would have seen winning in 2000.